What can I do to tilt the world in favor of my stars and away from my vacuums? How can I get more stars and fewer vacuums? And of the stars and vacuums that I have, how can I give the stars all the power, all the influence, all the credit, all the spotlight, and make my vacuums feel a little uncomfortable?
Welcome to the BetterCulture podcast, where we make the clear connection between better culture and better business. This podcast is for leaders who want to build stronger teams, drive thriving companies, and enjoy your leadership role along the way. Now here's your host, Brett Hoogeveen, a leadership and culture aficionado, keynote speaker, and co-founder of BetterCulture.
All right, we're here today to talk about 4 types of problem employee behaviors. But before I dive into what those 4 employee behaviors are, I first want to talk a little bit about what culture really is and why these 4 behaviors matter. First off, a great definition for culture is the attitudes or behaviors that a group of people bring with them that they expect from one another when they get together. What are the attitudes and the behaviors that we expect on our team, in our workplace, etc.? Culture is also the average of those attitudes and behaviors that your team brings. So one way to improve your culture is to have more positive attitudes, more positive behaviors, more things that are exactly in alignment with who we want to be and what we want to do. Another way to improve your culture is to eliminate those behaviors that drag the average down. If we can have fewer problem employees or fewer problem behaviors, that will absolutely lift and boost the average health of your culture. So today we're going to talk about 4 of these problem behaviors that drag company cultures down, that make teams less high performing, that make teams less fun to be on, okay? And the first of those, and these are in, by the way, there are way more than 4 of these behaviors. That could be a really long list. Today I'm just going to touch on 4 that I see fairly often and that are reasonably, at least the first couple, easy to address. And the last couple, especially the last one, is really important. Okay, the first type of problem employee are problem finders. Have you ever noticed that there's a certain number of people out there in the world, I'm sure you've come across them, who sort of think that they have a unique talent of spotting problems? Hey, there's an issue with the copier. Hey, something's wrong with the website. Hey, I thought you might want to know, there's a fire in the lobby. Like, oh, gee, thanks for bringing me a problem, right? Now, these folks actually often think that bringing other people and making them aware of challenges and problems is helpful. Now, obviously, there are some times when making people aware that there are challenges in a business could be helpful. And I don't want to completely discourage this. But if you want to move away from this problem employee type number 1, you might encourage people to be problem solvers, to say, what could I do to see if I could fix the problem, not just to bring that problem to somebody else. I remember once at one of my old places to work, there was a story that one of the front office staff liked to tell. And she told a story that an employee once came to her and said, hey, I don't know who did it, but there's a mess over in the little lunchroom area. And she just said to that employee, she said, Josh, are you bringing me a problem? And Josh said, I guess I am. And he went over and cleaned the cafeteria. Now, that was the expectation, the attitudes and behaviors that they wanted to reinforce in that work setting. And that's what culture is. It's what are the attitudes and behaviors that we expect from one another. So nudge people toward problem solving and away from problem finding, okay? One caution, there is an old management bromide that does say, don't bring me a problem if you can't offer a solution. And I would say that is a little bit of a distortion of this mindset. I don't want to go all the way to saying that you can't bring a problem. Sometimes problems are hard to solve, and you need the creative brain power of a group of people focused on a challenge to come up with the solution. So there are certainly instances where I don't want people to say, well, let's just ignore the problem if I don't have a solution. That's absolutely not the intent. Okay, on to problem employee type number 2. That is high maintenance employees. The opposite being low maintenance employees. Now, a high maintenance car or boat or any piece of equipment is seldom a pleasure to own. It's no fun investing time and money in a vehicle that continues to have problems that pop up every few months. You're back in the shop. I thought it was running well, etc. That's no fun. And it's the same thing as a leader on a team. It is no fun to manage a high maintenance employee. But often nobody has really addressed this directly with employees who are constantly asking for redirection, reassurance, encouragement. Can you explain this to me for the 17th time? Can you show me where that is again? It's such a breath of fresh air to manage a low maintenance employee. People who are self-assured, who know how to find resources for themselves, etc. And there are really two ways to think about improving or making progress on this high maintenance employee piece. One is, who are you hiring and what are you tolerating? And another is, are you giving people feedback? Are you telling them it is an expectation that you know how to manage this yourself after the third time we've gone over it? I want people to be able to come to me and ask for help, etc. I want to have an open door policy. I want people to feel psychologically safe on a team, all of those things. But there's a very clear line between making sure that people can come to you once or twice or three times or can challenge something versus 17 times and never really learning to take accountability for their own problem solving. As a leader, by the laws of physics, you only have so much time and energy in any day. And so the question is, where are you going to spend that time? Now, you have some employees that are eager to grow, that have the ability to really improve. And if you're spending all of your time with your high maintenance employees that are bringing you really low value problems consistently, then even if you're actually doing some good in helping them, what you may not be noticing is you have employees that would really benefit from coaching, from pushing, from exposure, from experiences, and you don't have the time to do it, which is what makes high maintenance employees such a problem that I'd like to raise your awareness of. Problem employee type number 3. Now we're getting a little more serious, okay? And this is what BetterCulture calls cosmos. Now, this is a term that we made up. You won't hear it anywhere else. But a cosmo really, what it really is it's a colorful way to say, where does somebody tie their ego? Do I tie my ego to my title, to my prestige, to whether or not I got credit for an idea, to my salary, to how big my office is, to how fancy my title sounds? These are all indications, if you have someone that's motivated by those types of things, that they may be a cosmo. Now, cosmos are not inherently bad people, but they can and often do make challenging teammates. Imagine that you are on a team and you've got the opposite of a cosmo, by the way, is a local. A local is somebody with a low ego. They tie their ego to the success of others, to the reputation of the team or the department, to the reputation of the organization, to whether or not we won or lost the game. In a sports world, a cosmo will be relatively happy if they had a good night personally, but the team lost the game. Okay? On the opposite side, a local will not be happy at all, even if they set a career high on scoring, but the team lost the game. Great teams are comprised overwhelmingly of locals, of people with low ego, people that are team players. And so if you want to have a healthy team, you've got to hire people with low egos and especially put locals into leadership roles. I would ask you to consider, which one of those two personality types would you like to work for? Somebody who wants all the credit, who likes to be seen as the smartest person in the room, or would you rather, that's a cosmo, or would you rather work for a local? Somebody who wants to see others succeed, who cares more about the success of the team than the credit they get, who likes to give away credit. I've been asking this question for over a decade, and I've yet to once have somebody tell me that in general, that they would rather work for a cosmo than a local. Now, I should say, cosmos are not bad people. If cosmos are uniquely talented, by the way, this applies to the same high maintenance thing as well. If you've got a really talented employee and they are a little bit of a cosmo, they're a little high maintenance, it absolutely may make sense to put up with them, to manage them in a way that you're giving them credit, you're giving them the spotlight, etc. Just know that if you put enough of those types of folks on a team, there's a negative consequence on everybody else. If that person needs to get credit and get the spotlight consistently, others may feel a little bit left out. They may feel a bit resentful, right? And so the more of these cosmos we put into a team, the harder it is to have a really healthy team culture. And for goodness sakes, if you can avoid it, try your best to not put a cosmo into a leadership role. Last one of the 4 types of problem employees that I want to talk about with you today are what BetterCulture calls vacuums. Now, vacuums are people who just suck the positive energy out of a group, out of a room. Vacuums are people that consistently say, thank God it's Friday. They consistently, when you say, hey, how's it going? They go, oh, I have a story for you, okay? They're just always in a bad mood, always cynical, always negative, always assuming the worst, always, you fill in the blank. I think you get the picture, okay? On the other end, you've got employees in your system who are stars, people who are showing the types of attitudes and behaviors that you would love to see in an employee consistently, day in and day out. Now, when I do some keynote speaking, one of the talks that I often give is actually called Stars versus Vacuums. And I think this is one of the simplest ways to think about building healthier teams and healthier organizations is what can I do to tilt the world in favor of my stars and away from my vacuums? How can I get more stars and fewer vacuums? And of the stars and vacuums that I have, how can I give the stars all the power, all the influence, all the credit, all the spotlight, and make my vacuums feel a little uncomfortable? In that if they want to be contributors around here, they need to change the way that they show up, or honestly go bless some other company with their employment, all right? That's a great way to think about lifting the average of what your team is like. So these vacuums are folks that you really have to have a radar for. If you really do want to have a better and healthier team culture, and you've got that sourpuss, that energy vampire, that vacuum consistently in your midst, don't walk around it. Have the conversation with that person. Often what you'll find is they don't really know the impact that they're consistently having on others. And if you can make that visible to them and have a conversation that's really focused on their success, the way they're viewed, the impact they are having on others, it can often be a wake-up call for that unwitting vacuum that doesn't realize the full extent of both the seriousness of their actions and their attitude, as well as the impact that they're having on others. The biggest mistake I see with vacuums is not addressing it. Just saying, oh, that's Mark, that's Janet, nothing we can do about it. Yes, there is. And you should. If you care about the experience that your employees are having, you need to address vacuum behavior. All right, there you have it. That was a quick overview of 4 of the more common cultural poisons, the sort of employee behaviors that we see in the workplace across industries. And I would encourage you to do a little bit of an assessment. If you're a manager of a team, think through, do I see any of these behaviors on my team? And even more important, can I do something about it? Thanks for being here. If you like this episode, please share it with somebody who could benefit from hearing it. There's always more insights at betterculture.com. We've got a whole insights tab you can check out there. Thanks for following our podcast. Stay tuned. Want to take the next step to building a stronger culture? We're offering a free 15-minute BetterCulture strategy call directly with me. We'll take the time to help you identify real opportunities to make your workplace better. No sales pitch, just real advice to help you lead better. Grab your time right now at betterculture.com/free call. Let's make something even better together.